Suppose you signed a 1-year lease agreement with a tenant on your investment condo unit. The lease is up for renewal next month. The tenant has always paid rent on time and didn't do anything wrong. But you want him out of the unit. Maybe because the unit is under rent control and the rent you are collecting is a couple $100 below market rent. Maybe because you want to sell the unit and you think you can sell at higher price without the tenant. Now, the question is, can you simply refuse to renew the lease at the end of the term and ask the tenant to leave? At the end of the 1-year lease term, it doesn't matter whether you agree to renew the lease for another term or not. The tenant automatically becomes a month-by-month tenant. What does that mean? So long as the tenant doesn't break any condo bylaws and always pay rent on time, he is entitled to stay in the unit for as long as he wants. Is there any way to evict the tenants gracefully? Well, if you go by the book, there are 2 official ways. If you ask me, I have my own secret way. It is the most successful way to resolve the situation if your tenant did not intend to leave. Let's go over the official ways first. Number 1. You or your immediate family member wants to move into the rental unit and occupy it for at least 1 year. In this case, you will have to pay your tenants an amount equal to 1 month's rent as compensation. Alternatively, you can offer the tenants another rental unit, but it must be acceptable by the tenant. Anyway, I don't think you want to live in your investment unit for a year, so this is obviously not going to work. Number 2. You sell the unit and the buyer or the buyer's immediate family wants to live in the unit. In this case, the buyer is not required to stay in the unit for a minimum of 1 year, and the tenant is not entitled to any compensation. This would work perfectly fine if you sell the unit to a buyer who is an end user. If you sell to an investor, the investor must assume tenant at the current rent. Now, this gets challenging if the current rent is below market and the unit is under rent control. So, here's the thing. It is not too uncommon that people use either reason number 1 or reason number 2 casually to kick out the tenants. The owners actually have no intention to live in the unit. They just want to kick the tenants out so they can lease the unit again at a much higher price. So, is there any consequence if the tenant finds out the truth? Let's say you ask your tenants to leave because you need to occupy the unit yourself. Shortly after, the tenant finds out that the unit is listed for rent on MLS at a much higher price. The tenant can report the case to the Landlord and Tenant Board. In the worst case, you could be fined up to $25,000. It is good to have the Landlord and Tenant Board to be the official tribunal for rental matters. But here's the secret that I want you to know about. The official methods are the most ineffective strategies to resolve a conflict. Why? Because the official methods are very cold and with terms set in stone. I often find that they have the reverse effect of getting people more irritated. Here's one of the most common mistakes that I see landlords make. They find it hard to break the news to the tenant, so they just write an email like this. I am planning to sell my unit, and when the unit is sold to an end user, you will have to vacate the unit because the official reason number 2 states that... How would you feel if you were the tenant? Not very happy, right? Would you be very accommodative during the showing process? Probably not. Well, by the book, you have the right to decline a showing. You see, things are not going to work out very well. What if you call the tenant instead? I need to sell my unit, but I want to make sure that you have a place to stay and you get a reasonable compensation. Can we work things out together? I know there is a similar unit available for rent just upstairs, but it will be $200 more per month. What about I pay you $2,400 cash now, and that will cover you for a whole year? Does that sound fair? You see how a warm negotiation would work so much better than a cold email. In fact, this trick has a 95% successful rate. After you and the tenant sign their agreement to end the tenancy form, you are free to do whatever you want with the unit. Of course, you will need people skills and negotiation skills to do this properly. If you don't want to handle any kind of tenant conflict yourself, you can get help from my rental management team. I have personally trained the team with my conflict resolution strategies that are proven to work in real-life scenarios. You can click the link below to find out more about our rental management program. If you want more tips like this, make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the bell now.